You know, I wore these grey colours hoping that all the grey clouds are here on my clothing. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. There were lots of grey clouds, a very wet outfield. The umpires came out, went back in, went back out, went back in. And finally, the game has been called off. We're back at Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. I've got Michael and Joyda with me. The grey colour didn't really work. I really tried to keep the rain away, guys, but it didn't work. As cricket fans, we all want a cricket game to happen, but wasn't meant to be. But the big news is that after today's result, Pakistan have been eliminated.
Yeah, it's a big, big one. And whatever it is, one-time champion, two-time finals, reached the semis quite a few times. They in their inconsistency in the T20 World Cup, they've been consistent. They've somehow managed to always make it there. And them not being there is a huge, it's a huge, huge blow. They were an exciting side. Last time's finalists, they were eliminated. It's a big, big one. And for the US to beat them and go through is just a crazy story.
I mean, this is the most romantic story America could have asked for. Two queues there, India and the United States of America. We'll get to them, but more on Pakistan, Michael. We always say that this is how they start their World Cup. They'll come back and they will find their groove. But when you don't start well and you leave your fate into other people's hands, this is kind of what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they can't blame the weather. They should have beaten United States and they should have beaten India.
Yes.
If they'd won those two games, they're through to the Super 8s and they're doing what Pakistan generally do at World Cups, which arrive and beat good teams. I mean, I didn't think they'd get close to India. They should have won that game. The game against the United States, they were poor. They were really poor down the back end, defending that. So the 4 off the last ball, the super over was carnage. I mean, the ball was going everywhere. They were running 2s, 3. I mean, it was just typical of Pakistan. They just panicked, and great credit to the United States. They held the nerve, played some good shots, and got over the line. But I just don't see Pakistan at the minute as a great white ball team. Even when they won it or got to the final, in the last World Cup, I didn't think they were a great side. They just did what Pakistan do. They just won games of cricket and got to the final. They should have won that game.
Yes.
I said earlier, Shaheen Shah Afridi to stay fit. I do think they'd have beaten England. But you look around the teams around the world now, and you look at Pakistan compared to Australia, England, the West Indies, probably South Africa in that group now, India, obviously. I think Pakistan I would say they're good enough to be in the Super 8s. They've lost a couple of bad games here, but they're a long way short of being a quality white ball team at the minute.
Joyda, we've spoken about how they've just not played like a unit this World Cup. They have great names individually, but when it comes to a team, they've just not played like a team.
They haven't played like a team. I think there are a lot of factors. And, one of the factors, let's not ignore the fact that this is not the greatest Pakistani side.
Yes.
Okay. And this is not the team. This is not a great white ball team. They don't have destroyers up front. Babar Azam, their best batter, is better as a 50 over or a test batter. This is not his best format. So there are a lot of things. There are a lot of untried players in the middle order. Azam Khan didn't work out. Usman Khan, they gave one chance and they dropped him. So there's a lot of stuff out there that hasn't happened. And even young cricketers, the last cricketer to really emerge was Naseem Shah. After that, they haven't had. And bowling, again, Haris Rauf is not the bowler that he looked when he emerged 2, 3, 4 years back. So all I'm saying is that all in all, also let's admit that this is an average international side. This is not Pakistan at its peak. They can win games, of course. If you have bowlers like Shaheen Shah Afridi, batters like Fakhar Zaman and all, every once in a while they'll win games for you. But they're not going to win games that consistently. And if you saw Pakistan against England just before, they didn't look the greatest of teams. In England, they didn't look at all as if they were threatening.
No.
But Michael, we know that Gary Kirsten has come in very recently, but lots for him to do. If you were in that camp, what kind of changes would you make for the team?
Oh, it's very difficult. Saeem Ayub is a fantastic young left-hander. You've got to get him in the team. And there's a Champions Trophy in Pakistan in February. I guess back in the day when you lost a World Cup, you usually had 4 years to wait for another one. There's a World Cup every 5 minutes these days. And there's a Champions Trophy in February. So you're not far away from actually going back out there to compete. I would say they need to just go through a process of trying a few young players and trying to galvanise them as a group.
Yes.
Try and put together that culture of togetherness and playing together as a team. And if that means they take a step back by doing so, they'll go a few steps forward because they're playing collectively as a group of players. I understand the politics in Pakistan. It's always a bit chaotic. There's also plenty of outside influence, whether it's from ex-players, whether it's from people that want to be in power, don't want to be in power, have been in power. You're never quite sure what's happening. But one thing's for sure with Pakistan cricket, they'll have skill, they'll have players, and they will be there and they will come back. I don't fear. I sometimes fear for a country like New Zealand because they've had such a good run of it. I think, how are you going to continuously produce the quality that you have done? Maybe they will, but I do worry about a team like it. But whereas Pakistan, I don't worry that they're going to produce cricketers. There'll be lots of cricketers out there. It's just, can they develop, and Gary and Jason Gillespie, can they collectively as a test coach and a one-day coach just get the culture right around the group and give this pathway of a younger set of players to come through? And if they can do that, I have no doubt they'll be competitive again.
You know, there's a very interesting thing. You know, if you've examined Pakistan cricket over the years, so 7-8 years back, there was this theory that India would produce a lot of great batters, Pakistan would produce a lot of bowlers, and there's an interesting theory that somebody put forward, which has a certain amount of merit, which says that what happens with Pakistan is their first class, their age group system is not no way as good as India's. India's is under 13, under 15, under 17, under 19. So what happens is India tends to produce batters who relentlessly play through that. Okay. But the bowlers, because you overbowl them, and especially the fast bowlers, they keep going through stages and stages and coaches trying to improve them. So our fast bowlers used to start as 140 kilometers per hour bowlers and then sort of taper off.
Yes.
Whereas Pakistan literally, I mean, Shoaib Akhtar, somebody sees Wasim Akram, the next 2 days later he's playing Pakistan A, a week later he's playing for Pakistan. So they got them raw and right at the top level they managed to use them. I think those things have changed now because even in India, the biomechanics of, you know, the kind of fast bowlers that India have produced in the last 10, 12 years has changed totally. But Pakistan is still not consistently producing batters through. You know, you got one Babar Azam, you've had a Misbah before that, you've had a Yunus before that. But look at them, overall, the kind of batters that in India, you look at 5, 6, 7 batters who are like, all of them, you can look at them and potentially they're all world class.
Yes.
That's not happening in Pakistan.
Well, and also, you know, you look at the selection of Asim Khan behind the stump, he can whack spin. But he whacks spin in the Pakistan Super League where the ball bounces this high.
Yes.
And some of the spin is not high quality. And also when the seamers are bowling to him, the ball bounces this high, so he can hit those. He's been exposed at the next level because clearly seam balls are going to bounce him, go quite high on him, and the spin quality is just that little bit better. And also the spin just bounces a little bit more than we see in Pakistan. So I think they have to realise that picking players that just do well in Pakistan and putting them straight in the Pakistan side, it might work for them in Pakistan. I feel for them because they've only just started to play back, playing international cricket back home in their own backyard, which has, I reckon, hurt Pakistan hugely. You know, over the course of that period where they just couldn't play any cricket at home, they had to play in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, wherever they could play. I think that's hurt Pakistan cricket massively. And now they've got the national team playing back home. I do think, as I said, there'll be loads of quality there, but just picking players because they've done well in Pakistan on those wickets, you know, you've got to be very careful that you've got an eye to understand that that player is going to be able to play when the ball just bounces that little bit higher.
You know, Michael, I remember during the ODI World Cup last year when we were chatting, you were pretty considerate to Babar Azam. You didn't quite like the off-field stuff that PCB was doing. Do you still see him as captain? Do you see things changing with Babar?
I actually don't see him as a T20 captain, no. I see him as a test and a 50-over captain. I think those two formats, he excels at as a player. In T20 cricket, I think his game's very good. He's a pure player, but he's not up there with I would say the top 15 batters in the world in T20 cricket. I think there's better players at the top of the order who can crash it and have this fearless approach, can whack it 360. But I wouldn't want to see them change it again.
Yes.
You know, somewhere they've got to have some consistency. There's no point in changing once again. So even if he's not perfectly suited to captain in T20 cricket, I do think for this period it's worth them staying consistent because the last thing Pakistan need is a bit more kamikaze and swapping and changing and overreacting. I think most Pakistan fans would be realistic with this team's performance and go, they've actually not got a great team.
Yes.
At the minute, on paper, it's just not a very good team. And it's down to the coaches and the selectors and the system back in Pakistan to try and give those in power, those captaining, those coaching, just a better pool of players to choose on. They've probably got them, and there'll be loads of Pakistan fans probably screaming at we've got this player, well, you've got to bring them into your team and try and galvanise them with a collective group playing together consistently.
You know, Joyda, like Michael said, that he hopes there's no change because they're so consistent with changing. Do you see them going and doing some knee-jerk reaction that we're going to see from PCB?
Look, I think they've taken one good decision, is to bring somebody like Gary Kirsten in. And Gary Kirsten is not a short-term guy at all. I mean, Gary Kirsten, that's why you'll see Gary Kirsten's coaching record in the IPL, other than, Gujarat Titans, where he's a part, is not as great at his record with India, for example, because he's somebody who really takes a long time, spends time with players, builds a culture, builds players. So if they have Gary Kirsten for 2-3 years in their system, they will get results. But somebody has to have patience, and somebody has to, there's this great term in American football. It's called running interference. So running interference is, when your quarterback gives the ball to a running back and he's running, okay? So the other guys are trying to tackle him. Your own guys are in front trying to block them from tackling the guy with the ball. So it's called running interference, okay? So somebody needs to run interference on him, saying, let him do his job, shield him from the politics, shield him from the troubles, just let him do his job. And if they do that for a couple of years, as he says, Pakistan, I mean, the cricketers are so naturally talented.
That'll be the problem.
Yes.
But the problem for Jason Gillespie and Gary Kirsten is how much interference will come in, particularly when you get knocked out of a World Cup like this. There'll be all sorts of people having their say and trying to give their opinion on what should happen, what shouldn't happen, who should go, who should stay, who should come in. Gary Kirsten and Jason Gillespie just need a little bit of time to be able to build their culture and their teams together.
Well, we know that Pakistan's been very consistent when it comes to the World Cups. They've, I think, qualified 6 times. They've gone past, we see the graphic here, they've had 6 qualifications. So even more, 6 semi-finals, I'm sorry. So you think, even more pressure when you get knocked out and not even qualify for a Super 8?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the thing about this, I think all the other competitions, I think everyone would have said Pakistan are dangerous. I don't think I heard one person say that Pakistan could win this one.
True.
Honestly, I didn't hear one pundit, one supporter, the odd Pakistan fan on social media. Obviously, they're going to be very towards their team, but I never felt that they were going to get anywhere close to even compete, and I'd say even competing. And I was surprised how well they competed with India, but they should have won that game. But to lose to the USA, let's be honest, I don't think anybody was surprised that Pakistan lost a game like that. And I can't talk from an England perspective, because over the course, I was looking back over the course of World Cup campaigns, England have lost games like that. We've lost to Ireland, we've lost to the Netherlands, could easily have lost to Scotland in the first game in Barbados, chasing 110 in 10 overs, you don't know. But I don't think many people will be surprised that they are out and not making the Super 8s. I don't think many people will be surprised that they lost to India, and I don't think many people will be surprised that they lost to the USA. It's just the standard of that white ball team at the minute.
I think for me, the Pakistan campaign is just summarized in that one super over. In stupid things, in you have a guy...
Rizwan behind the stumps.
Exactly. You're not taking your glove off and,
DK was with us, Joy,
that's basic. So DK was in the studio and he was going ballistic. He says, why isn't he taking off his glove? I mean, this is a time, and these are things that most teams prepare for. Super over happens, this guy's going to run, he's going to give the strike, he's not going to give up. Those are the kind of things. I think those are the kind of things that absolutely, totally, then overthrows, I mean, really village cricket kind, again, DK described it.
And when they went out, what were they getting? 19, didn't they? Fuckers, the man didn't face a ball.
And he is
a left-hander facing a left-armer who's bowling with an old ball that's coming in. Surely you want your left-hander to strike it on the leg side. But that's typical of Pakistan cricket, that when the pressure's really on at the minute, they just don't have cool, calm heads to deliver the skill.
Well, surprisingly, the underdogs have shown how to stay cool and calm. The United States of America are through to the Super 8. And like I said, this is probably the most romantic cricket story this World Cup. Who would have imagined, Joyda, when we sat here, India, Pakistan in one group, who would have imagined that it's going to be India and the United States of America that qualify?
Absolutely. What an amazing story. What a fantastic story. And I think they deserve it, because the kind of cricket they played, and especially against Pakistan. I mean, chasing 150 there was tough. But the way Monank Patel batted, the way they came close, 159, and then reaching there, reaching that close, and then you have 11 in 3 balls. And Aaron Jones is just looking for that six. He's just not getting it. He hits a six, then he gets that single, and then that last ball four. I mean, that is holding nerve. Again, you look at it, they took it to the super over because they scored 11 of the last 3 balls. And I think that symbolizes what this campaign has been all about for them. I mean, they've not been scared. They've just gone after it. Some people like Soren Netravalkar up front with the ball. You know, what Kenjige came and did in that one match of his. Each and every one of them have performed. Monang Patel, Aaron Jones was fantastic. Because remember, this campaign could have got derailed on day 1.
Absolutely.
Canada scores 190 plus. 190 plus, you're 20 for 2. It's really looking uphill from there. And Aaron Jones completely changes the match. So none of the matches, you know, they won 2 matches. And both those matches, none of those matches was like a cakewalk for them.
Yes.
It was really difficult and they held their nerves and made it.
But Michael, they've clearly come out with very good strategies and plans. Their coach Stuart Law should be given credit because they didn't seem unnerved at any point. They didn't seem like they were not meant for this stage. They looked like they deserve to be here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're chasing down over 190 and you're chasing it down quite convincingly, you deserve to go through. You've chased down near on 160 against Pakistan, win the Super Over again, held your nerve, held the pressure card. I think there'll be a lot of people celebrating at the ICC Towers. When you think they're trying to grow the game and they've taken the game to the States for the World Cup and suddenly the hosts are through to the Super 8s. You've got the Olympics there in 4 years' time. MLC is going to have 34 more games. That's growing. You've got Pat Cummins signing a 4-year contract. Steve Smith signing a contract. For the game of cricket to grow, it is great that we've got America now involved. And they deserve it. You know, you look at coaches and particularly Stuart Law, who's been in and around coaching around the world, to see him with a team like that and to see this team go through to the Super 8s, he'll now be saying to his side, come on, let's get to the semis.
Yes.
Can we cause a real shock? All right, getting to the Super 8s, that's probably beyond our budget at the minute, but can we cause a real shock by getting to the semi-finals? They've certainly got enough talent. They've got some real talented cricketers and a little bit of experience. I think someone like Corey Anderson, I think he's a real key for them because he's been around and he knows obviously the international game really well, and he'll be just feeding all the players with a bit of good information. But it's a great story. Not a great story for Pakistan, but for the global game and for cricket to grow, there's no better player. Probably China. If we get China involved next, but to get the States involved in cricket, I think it's a big moment for the game.
But Joyda, they looked like the more deserving team than Pakistan, and now that they're through to the Super 8, we'll see them in the next World Cup as well.
Yeah, you will see them in the 2026 World Cup. And I mean, that's the thing. And as I said, now they have the younger players. They're not getting players, you know, over-the-hill players and just saying, okay, come and play for us now. They have a plan. They've gone and they've scouted Goose out, you know, who's playing for Free State. They've gone and scouted players out here. So Shalkwik, Goose, they're all part of that program, you know, Unmukh Chanch, and, you know, that's what they're getting. You know, so now with this Super 8 they're directly qualifying for 2026. What they've got to do now is build this score and take it through. And remember, they have a very engaging mix.
Yes.
Because they have Indian players, Pakistani players, they're also Sri Lankan players. They haven't made it this time, but they have some very decent Sri Lankan players. And they have the power of the West Indian players. You know, the likes of Taylor and Jones are of West Indian origin. They give you a certain amount of power. So, you know, culturally, a team is a very interesting mix of players. There's some finesse players and there's some really power hitters.
Yes.
And the kind of sixes that Jones hit, that's very typical West Indian power, you know. And if they can get these elements together, get the right kind of players, have this team playing together for a while, and that's the one thing that they'll have to look at very seriously, because now they're playing the big boys league.
Yes.
Okay. Now it's great to say that, you know, I can do a job on the side and do it and all that. And I think now over the next 2 years, if they're serious about the 26 this year and about 2026, then I think now they need to say that, okay, you know, this team needs to be a full-time professional team. And they have to find a way to do that.
Yes, well, this day has created history for the United States of America because they're through to the Super 8. We'll have a look at what's happening tomorrow. India take on Canada. This is match number 33 at Florida. India playing the first game at Florida. Michael, Joyda, they'll be relieved to go there, the batters, hoping that there is a game and there is no rain tomorrow, number one. But do you see changes when they go to Florida?
Absolutely. I see changes and I see changes forever. See, this...
A few reasons.
Yeah,
yes.
Changes for the best of reasons. For starters, changes because if Florida is anywhere close to for that outfield, for it to be even slippery and all, I would take Jasprit Bumrah, put him in cotton wool and say, see you in the West Indies. I do not want to see Jasprit Bumrah on the field.
Absolutely.
You don't need to see him. And if he can't beat Canada without Jasprit Bumrah, I mean, we had nothing to say. So Jasprit Bumrah, put him away. Maybe one of Rohit or Rohit up front or Virat. Give them a rest. Say that, you can take it easy for a day. Because I think what they need to do is, remember, they now need to preserve their players and they need to look at options for Super 8. One of the things that definitely do is, what he's saying, give Yashasvi Jaiswal a chance. If he's somebody who's going to bat on surfaces where the ball is going to come on faster, I'd definitely throw in Yashasvi Jaiswal. The second is, I'd definitely try and have a look at Kuldeep Yadav.
Yes.
Because both these players are going to play a part sometime over the next few set of matches. And I think we need to at least see where they stand.
Absolutely.
Yashasvi, they still might not decide not to go with. They might just try him out and see. But they should want to see all these players, definitely.
Michael, it's very important to have that game practice, isn't it? Because one is you can practice as much as you have to, but playing that game is very important under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth trying one or two that have been sat on the sidelines. But the problem you have is that Virat Kohli, you could rest him, but he's not got any runs and he probably would do with a bit of time in the middle.
True, that's true.
So Virat will probably want to have a knock. Rohit's done okay, but he probably wants to have a knock as well. So it's all right. And I believe in giving the whole squad a game, particularly in games like this. But there'll be players that are in the team that will be saying, well, wait a minute, this tournament's quite a long tournament and they don't play every 2 or 3 days. They've been having quite a lot of time off in between games. So when you get a game, you want to play because you want to get back out into the groove of it. Whatever India do, I think you're absolutely right, Joe. They've got to wrap Bumrah in cotton wool. For India to win this World Cup,
yes,
Bumrah has to be fit, going to the Caribbean, through the Super 8s, to the semis, to the final. I honestly think he gives India around 30%. I think he's that big a piece in their jigsaw that a team that plays against India without Bumrah, I think you've got a 30% better chance of beating them. I think he's that important to the team.
So I think all Indian fans would want to keep him very safe. But if you do ask Bumrah to rest tomorrow, who do you see coming in?
Look, I mean, the way we are now structured, okay, we were bowling with 3 fast bowlers,
Yes.
okay. You could just see one of the fast bowlers, say Bumrah rest, and they could even go to somebody like a Kuldeep Yadav, give Kuldeep a chance because, he's going to turn the ball, he's going to play a part in this tournament. Once the pitches turn and get, so they give him an opportunity because you've got to play Jadeja still because Jadeja hasn't had a great series so far. He hasn't been bowled very often. So you need to give him a chance to build his confidence, bring him up as well. I'd just do a straight swap because even if you do that, you still have 3 Indian fast bowlers. I mean, you have Siraj, you have Arshdeep, and you have Hardik,
yes,
okay? And in a pinch, Shivam Dube can take the ball, okay? And just see what you do with that unit. I would give a Kuldeep for Bumrah straight swap and get in Yashasvi for somebody.
But Michael, we know that Rohit and Rahul don't like to change things around the 23 World Cup even after the qualifications to the semis. They said we won't change anything. We don't like to tinker around a winning squad.
Yeah, which I get when you're winning, but you've got to make sure that you keep those players that are sat on the bench fresh as well. And also, you've got to kind of manage the kind of bench in as best way as possible by giving them a chance to play games of cricket. They're qualified, they're through, they're playing Canada. Not they're going to beat Canada, I'm pretty sure, but it's the bigger picture of what you're trying to do to the whole squad. And if you're only picking 11, what happens if you go to the Caribbean and suddenly you get an injury?
Yes.
One of those players, well, I haven't played any cricket. So I think you've got to look in World Cups at the bigger picture of what may happen. Worst case scenario, what could happen? All right, Bumrah could get injured. Right, we better just play someone just in case. Give him a bit of a breather now. Or, is it going to be that in the Caribbean we're going to need that extra spin option? So play Kuldeep tomorrow. Tomorrow is you don't get many times in international cricket the chance to pretty much do whatever you want. Yes. And it might be that you give all the bench a game just to say to them that you're all having a game today, 1 or 2 you're missing out. Those that have been playing will probably be a bit despondent, but then they'll go, well, it's only Canada.
Yes.
And that's not disrespecting Canada, it's just the nature of the beast, that's what it is. And they're through, and just give everyone a game of cricket.
Well, Joyda, with today's result, Canada is out as well, but you've liked what you've seen of them so far?
Absolutely. Again, very engaging mix of cricketers. Really, I enjoyed, Saad bin Jafar, the captain, he's bowled beautifully. Again, Kaleem Sana, the left-arm bowler from them. Junaid Siddiqui, the leggy, really liked what he did. And they also have that same mix, Dylan Hellliger, again, powerful player. Aaron Johnson, excellent player. So they have a lot of powerful players. And for me, the centerpiece is that Aaron Johnson up front and Nicholas Curtin. Nicholas Curtin plays for Barbados, has played CPL, played for Barbados on a regular basis, first-class cricket. I thought he was excellent in the match that they won. He's a crucial part of that game.
Yes.
And his playing well is very important to them.
Michael, for you, your players to watch out for tomorrow.
Well, I love Johnson. I just think he's a true player.
Yes.
And they've played really well in this World Cup. That first game against the States when they got 194, that wasn't enough because of an exceptional innings by Aaron Jones. But, they beat Ireland. I think when you go to World Cups as a minnow team, you sometimes judge yourselves against your fellow kind of associates. And for them to have beaten Ireland and to have beaten them quite well, I think that's a big tick for the Canadian side. And they've competed in every single game of cricket. But tomorrow is like the platform that you want as a player. You can do well against Ireland, you can do okay against the United States, but if you do well against India, you just don't know where that might end. You might get a franchise league around the world, one or two more great opportunities. Who knows, if you go and strike 100 or 50 balls, it's a long shot, but if you do that, the IPL auctions at the end of the year, you might just end up with one of those like smaller contracts in an IPL side. So the Canadian players tomorrow will be so excited. They'll be desperate that the rain doesn't ruin their opportunity of doing something special against one of the real quality teams in this World Cup.
So Aaron Johnson for you, and from India, who's it going to be?
India, Surya Kumar, I think if he plays, he might get rested. But if he plays, I think he's starting to find form.
He'll be happy with the 50 he got.
Yeah.
Joyda, for you?
For me, the players to watch, definitely Curtin, because I think he's fantastic in that middle order for them. And for India, I thought Surya had a good match, and I just want to see him. Last match was a match of him playing the circumstances, but I want to see Surya as Surya is. Not the Surya in a New York batting pitch, but in a proper pitch. Of course, from whatever I'm hearing, the chances are there are better chances of holding a regatta tomorrow on the field than a cricket match. I mean, it's really that. It's pouring out there, the big puddles. So, I mean, all this may be for nothing, and it'll be a sad opportunity if, Canada, I think, of India will be okay with it. I mean, they can just rest. Yeah. But I think Canada would be really upset about this fantastic opportunity to play a top side. Because, one of the other things is that, one is the IPL, but a lot of the other leagues around the world have a rule saying that, okay, you can take test playing, you can take 4 test playing players, but you have to take a certain number of players from associate nations as well. That's what the ICC does. So for the Dubai tournament, for other tournaments, they mandate that you have to take, if you want to take even international players, they have to be associate players, a certain number of them. And I think that is now opened it up for so many of these players.
All right, both of them had Surya in their players to watch out for. I just hope that the Surya is shining more than anything, because that's the sky. The sun should be shining. We don't want it to be grey and gloomy at all tomorrow, because it's just no fun when cricket is called off because of rain. It feels like those school PT lessons, when you really want to go for a game lesson, but there's rain and you just are stuck and you have to do maths. That's what it feels like. So when you're talking about maths, let's go to the school question for the day, CBSE Bhattacharya's question.
CBSE Bhattacharya. Where is the CBSE Bhattacharya? Okay, what connects cricketers Travis Trent, Colin Croft and Bhattacharya? And the interesting thing is what they did off the field. Two of them are commercial pilots, proper commercial pilots. Wow. Croft flies and Travis Trent flies for Qatar. And Bhattacharya is a pretty well-known helicopter pilot, does it all around South Africa. So interesting, because cricketers calm, they can hold their nerve, they have the skills. So yeah, 2 of them being pilots. Colin Croft is not just a pilot. At one time, he was also an air traffic controller.
Wow, that's really interesting. I don't think you had this answer, Michael.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, no. I don't think you were thinking that direction. But let's have a look at who got the answer the quickest. I don't know how these people get it, but Prasanna has gotten it. Monk in the City has gotten this answer. Monk in the City,
yeah. I don't know whether is that the television detective, or is it Monk? Is it Monk? Who knows? Well done. I haven't seen that name. Well done, Prasanna.
But Joyda, I've been told that even Usman Khwaja has a pilot license.
Yes, Usman Khwaja also has a pilot.
Incredible how these people can do so much in one life.
Jonathan Agnew, the commentator in the UK, he's got a little plane.
Wow, he has a flight. The other interesting one is a lot of the Hollywood guys, they fly. Yes. John Travolta, Harrison Ford, a lot of them are pilots as well. I think it's some sort of a kick of going up in the air.
Just going up. I mean, it is also having that license, the license to show that I'm a pilot, I think is very cool. It's a very cool thing. So guys, today, Michael, you've come in today. We've moved from New York, but we don't move on our prediction points table at all. I think we should just be given the free points.
Well, I
but
predicted it was going to get rained off. So is that?
Do you want to see who's leading the board?
Yeah,
Let's
come
have
on,
a look at it
show
if we
me.
can and see. Look at Zach looking dapper up there at the top.
Yeah.
So Simon gets, because of the bullseye, he's above me, but he doesn't come back, so he stays happy there. And,
that's a danger, Sammy.
Yes.
The less you play now, Simon has got to 40.
It should be pro rata though.
Oh, but Parthiv's really jumped up. Wow.
Yeah, Parthiv got 2 in a row yesterday.
He got 2 in a row yesterday.
Yeah.
Ooh, well done there.
Nice.
So I think he's had his rest and he's done his sledging today. He's had his rest. So I think he'll come in tomorrow stronger. That's what's going to happen.
But actually, I've discovered that the only real Englishman among us, I know Michael Vaughan's here, is Gaurav Kapoor. Because Gaurav Kapoor invents a game, okay, does well at it, okay. The moment other people catch up, he changes the rules.
Gets new formats.
Okay. And the moment then after that, everyone else does it the new rules as well, he changes and goes to a new game.
Absolutely.
So that's what Gaurav is. That's what England does. Cricket, rugby, football. They invent the games and then they say, okay, let's go to the next game.
Yeah, that's what he's done. He's changed the rules and now he just feels like the fire is not there.
Yeah, so now he's decided he's now going to change the game.
Yeah, he's saying we'll change the game, but I don't think we'll let that happen. We'll put up a petition for that. So I think we'll go and draft that petition now because we've got an early. So we will do this drafting. We've got the encyclopedia with us to fight Gaurav Kapoor. We'll do this petition. Michael, you've had a long day, so we'll let you go rest soon.
Thank you very much.
And Joyda, we will see you also very soon till we do that drafting. Thank you so much for all the football fans. I think you all have just about made it in time to watch the Euros. So you all can go and do that. But don't forget to join us tomorrow. We'll be here when India take on Canada. So do join us at 7:30 p.m. Good night and goodbye.